her over a little bit so you can see me. Woo. Have to be very careful. All of these things here are valuable. Porcelain. Most of them are porcelain. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about them because a little bit is all I know. I'm going to move her out of the way for the moment. What you see here, I need a little pencil or something to point with. Hold on. Now you just pretend this is a pointer and not a candle lighter. I had trouble trying to put this together because the items are so fragile. On one tray, you're looking at these right here are half dolls. Now, if you're getting close to my age, you'll know what a half doll is. Some of them I just refer to as doll heads. There are 16 of them here. Each is different. They're beautiful. I can't get close enough to the screen for you to see how pretty they are. I'm going to pick up a few of them and hope that if I hold it long enough, you can zoom and see how pretty she is. I'm going to move her to one side. Put her over here on the little shelf. I know you would like to see every one of them. They've all got price tags on them. They're all for sale. Take a look at her. After I show you a few of these, I'll explain some of this to you. I remember when I was a kid, well, actually more like teenager, Mom and Daddy slept in the back bedroom. And Mama kept a doll on the pillow of her bed. Oh, it was about 14 inches high. She wore a very lacy red dress. And you could wind her up and she played music. Now, I don't remember where she got that doll, but it stayed on her bed for years. It was still there when I got married, and I don't know where it went after that. But it was what you would call a bed doll. That's what we called it. A lot of women had bed dolls. So, one of the things my mother did, she crocheted. She crocheted beautifully. But most of the things she crocheted were doilies and those ruffled ones that would, when you start them, they were stiff as a board. She made those. But I remember a little trinket that she used to make with her crochet thread. You remember when Coca-Cola bottles and Pepsi bottles, the caps, you had to have a bottle opener. You know, one of those bottle openers. You did this with it to get the cap off. But you had to be very careful because sometimes the caps bent. You wanted to make sure they didn't bend because you could make a trinket. The trinket Mama made was what is it? Heating pad, you know, for your table. Now inside those bottle caps was a little round piece of cork. You were very careful to take that cork out. You want to keep it in one piece. And she would crochet around that bottle cap. There were several of them, probably a dozen. And when she finished, the cork went back inside the cap, I suppose for support. And they were all sewed together in the shape of a bunch of grapes. And that's what you use for your pad for your hot plate, called a hot plate. But Mama hung hers on the wall. They were decorative. That was one of the things you did with the crochet and lace. Another thing was, I'll go ahead and show you this first, because it's the highlight of it all. But I want you to be able to see these little doll heads. They got holes around the waist where you can sew your skirts to it. Now the skirt wasn't just a skirt. Sometimes it was a pin cushion, big fat pin cushion with lace and ruffles on it. And other times the larger ones were what I just said. They were for the pillows. It sat at the head of the bed in the middle of your pillow. That would, instead of having a little group of pillows, you had your doll head with her full dress. I'm going to put this back. There's some teeny tiny ones here. Oh, they're just adorable. Oh, she looks like a pompadour. Can you see her? These are a few of the many, many half dolls that didn't get broken. Because so many of them, you see where her arms stand out, so many of them would have one arm broken off. That's why I'm having to be very careful with these and not keep lifting out some, because they turn over very easily. Here's another tiny one. I used to just love them and wish I had them, but I couldn't afford them. Half dolls, remember that now. And remember what they're used for. Now I've got to get these back to Jan tomorrow. She wants them back. On this tray, you see 3 ladies, beautiful ladies. Now, let me show you the first one. See, I'm going to be very careful. See the lady, how pretty she is. Holding a bird on her arm. And this is called a powder box. Open at the top. A powder box. But with the way it's shaped, you might also call it a trinket box. Put your earrings and your pins and your rings. And you see how pretty she is? Every lady wanted one of these on her dresser. I'm going to put her back and show you another one in yellow. Okay, take the top off, and this is what you have. And here's the bottom, little powder box. And I've got a box of powder here that the bottom came off of it. And guess what? It fell to the floor and the powder, I stepped in the powder. My feet smell good. Even nothing else does, my feet smell good. So, anyway, that's another powder box. Here's another one. She's a little larger than the others. Oh, look, she's got her fan. Look how her hair is up on top of her head with the flower. Here's the bottom of the skirt. Put her right back on there. I'll move a little bit so you can see her instead of me. Now, the men may not be too interested in these things, but it was these things that made the ladies pretty for the men. They can keep that in mind. With trinkets like this, the ladies were very anxious to get themselves dressed for their best man. Here's one other. This one is mine. My powder box. See how pretty she is? Well, you can see her in front of me. And here's your powder puff. Oh yes, my mother always used a powder puff. My older sisters used them too. So this is my powder box. Careful, careful. All right, how do you like this one? This is a boy, and I have a feeling he had a mate that would have been a girl. And as you can see, it's a brush. And I don't have to tell you what this brush was used for. At the dining table, you rake the crumbs off into a little tray. You don't have the tray. But this is the kind of brush that was set on the dining table and you cleaned off the table. Get the dust and the crumbs off. And it's very old, it's very fragile, they'll break off real easy. But try to get a good look at that little boy. These are such precious keepsakes. And they represent a time period. That's what's nice about it, is when you can look at things like this and guess if it was the 1920s. Oh, these could have been around the 1900s. These were the things the ladies did because they didn't have jobs. So in their spare time, they gathered up their laces and their ribbons and their trims. And they made bed dolls. I'm going to put this up front because I want it out of the way of my elbow. I'm going to move this one as well. Well, I'll put it right over here. You can see it a little bit. a powder box, a little gentleman, and I'm going to scoot my boxes over. Don't need them now. And my fire starter. Okay. A friend gave me this. And there have been times that I wish I could go back in time. Like a time machine, you know, to a time period when the ladies wore dresses like this. And they wore their hair long up on their head. And this is what they wore. Can you see it? I want you to be able to get a good look at it. Remember the combs. I can't do it, but the combs would be in their hair and you could see them sticking up. Does that tell you a little bit? My hair's not made fixed for the comb, but this is what the ladies wore. This is, I think, Bakelite as well, and it's got the little blue rhinestone sets in it. My friend Nana gave me this a number of years ago, and I've just treasured it ever since because it's the only one I have of that time period. The next thing I'm going to show you is the bed doll. But first, I think it was surely wasn't more than 2 years ago, that Jan and Nana and I were on the US 68 yard sale. We had gone through Paris, we'd gone through Millersburg, small town. Everybody had their yard sales out. Now, we found some good buys. That was the trip where I found the long, long table filled with Fostoria American. And the man that was selling the Fostoria had an antique shop, but he was getting ready to move to California. So he was getting rid of all of his antiques, and this very long table was covered with Fostoria. And at that time, I had just started collecting Fostoria because I had a few pieces, and we were able to find it in Goodwills, thrift shops, very good prices. So I don't remember how many pieces I bought, but they're sitting over under the window on a credenza. It's covered with Fostoria. Now we wander on up US 68. We pick up some really good buys along the way, and we went all the way to Maysville. Just beyond Maysville is, of course, I forgot the name of the little town where George Clooney's from. We met George Clooney's mother that day, and she has a little shop. It has a lot of Rosemary Clooney's memorabilia in that shop. Oh, beautiful little town right on the river. So, coming back, we stopped in Maysville. We usually stop there to eat lunch. Well, actually, that day we were going to eat lunch in the park, and we take our lunch with us. So that's what we did that day, but a couple of times we've eaten in Maysville in a nice restaurant. Okay, so much for that. We are ending up our trip. We bought several little things, And we come to a house where I think maybe they were selling the mother or grandmother's estate sale. And they were down to near nothing. A few pictures on the wall, a few tables and things, and we didn't find anything we wanted. And I think the people were just about ready to close down their sale and were wanting to just go home. And as we went out, I felt kind of bad because nobody bought anything. And I looked over on the table, and this is what I saw. Can you see her? She's a bed doll. She's not a pincushion. See, she's got rows and rows of lace. Look real close. I'm going to show you how she's made. I have to turn it over. You see, this is underneath. And it's stuffed so that it sits right on the bed. The first layer is a satin. It's got a row of lace sewed to the bottom of it. Then there's the next row of lace, and then the top row of lace, and in the back it's got little blue ribbons, and it fitted around the waist with a little row of pearls, tiny, tiny pearls, that holds it to her body. This is a sample of a bed doll. I picked it up. I thought, well, should buy something. And I said to the lady, what do you want for this doll? She looked at it and she says, $1. I'll take it. $1 for this bed doll. She's a half doll. And this is what I wanted to show you tonight with a half doll. Now, Mama had another bed doll, and I don't know why, but I got to thinking about that, and I said the dress was made from milk filters. Now, folks, I don't know anything about milk filters. I know they're used on farms for transferring the milk from into the bottle and things, but they were little discs about this big around, lots of them, milk filters. How I could remember something like that, and I can't remember where I put my shoes. So I called my sister, and I said, do you remember that doll that Mama had? And the dress was made of milk filters. Now, milk filters, they were a little bit like cutting out disc of foam rubber. I don't know, they weren't foam, I don't know what they were. But they were about this big. And what you did, you folded it in half. Now this is just a little paper doily. Fold it in half, and then you could fold it again. Well, what you did, you took your needle and your yarn, your pretty colored yarn, and you sewed a little bow right here that held that together like that. See what happens when you do that? That opens up top, and it opens up at the bottom. And you have the little, okay, I couldn't make one if I tried, But then you took the next filter and you attached them. You attached them at these points. And all those points had a little colorful yarn bow. And when you got through, they all opened out and made a beautiful skirt. You get the idea. See, you get the idea here. It's sewed together. And all those little openings, I don't know if you can see that or not. But you see, these went row after row on the ladies' skirts. And they were made from milk filters. Now, if you lived on a farm and you had cows, you probably can tell me what a milk filter was used for. I looked it up, but I didn't learn much. On the internet, I didn't understand it. But I think if you had milk cows, you can tell me what a milk filter looked like. Now that's all I've got to show you here. Well, I could talk about my problems, like plumbing. I stopped up my sink today. Actually I did it yesterday. So I had to do anything with water had to come from the bathroom. So I tried to call my plumber. The nice man. He always came, didn't answer the phone, left a message. He didn't call back. I called again this morning. He didn't answer, didn't call back. So late this afternoon, I said, I've got to get the sink fixed. It's stopped up. It's in the disposal. Now, I know what I did wrong, and I'm not going to tell you because it embarrasses me to tell you that I was stupid enough to do something without first looking on the internet and seeing if it was okay. It was not okay. That's one of the first things it listed. Do not put in your disposal, and I did. So, my plumber is in Florida on vacation. I gotta find another plumber tomorrow. So, that's one of the problems of life, we all have to deal with it. I'd rather it be that than my car. We know what problems you can have with your cars, and sometimes it seems like they never get fixed. So much for my problems. But I want you to focus on the pretty ladies and see how pretty they are. And I'll tell you, if you've got granddaughters going to graduate from high school or college, and if they like antiques at all, and you have to buy them something nice for graduation, give them a little powder box or a trinket box, and you might even put a pretty little pair of earrings or a tennis bracelet inside the little trinket box. I think any girl would like something like that. And their antiques, have to be taken care of. So, I'm going to go in the kitchen. I'm going to cut myself a piece of strawberry cream cake. I've got some ice cream that I don't know what's in it. It's got nuts, I know that. And I've got some caramel sauce goes on ice cream. Now, you think that's a little much? Yeah, it is. But does it taste good? So I'm going to help myself to that and read some of my messages, and they've all been very good messages. Everybody's very, very thoughtful, and I appreciate it. You help keep me busy. Otherwise, there's just not much to do, and I'm not a person that likes to do a lot of reading. If I have to read the instructions on how to make something, it better not be more than a half paragraph long, because I'm not going to read all that stuff. I just figure it out for myself. I'm going to let you go now. Take another look at my pretty girls. How pretty they are. Yeah, there she is. And all of these, oh, these are just gorgeous. Here's one with a pretty bonnet. Oh, she's pretty. She is so pretty. And you see the little holes right around the bottom. This is the tag. Jan left the price tags on. She's got more of these if you want to buy some. I'll tell her that you might be wanting to buy some. So, I'll let you go. If I can get around this table without touching something, I'm going to say goodnight to you, and thank you for watching me. I hope I show you a few things that will interest you, and I may have one or two stories coming up. Nothing fancy to show you, but just a good story, because I remembered one. So you take care and have a good night.